Imagine a world where every person you meet is treated like treasure. Not because they earned it, not because they belong to your group, not because they agree with you, but because they bear the image of God. Imagine neighborhoods where disagreements don't turn into character assassinations, where desire doesn't reduce people to products, and where marriage is a shelter, not a weapon. That world is not a utopian fantasy. It is the imagination Jesus gives us when he speaks about righteousness, doing right by others, on the Sermon on the Mount. When people hear the word righteousness, they often picture rule-keeping, a checklist, a long list of do's and don'ts. But Jesus, like the best teachers of Israel, invites us deeper. He points us to the wisdom of God in the Torah and the prophets, and then uncovers the heart beneath the rules. He will quote a command, and then he will show the wisdom under it. The kind of person you become when the wisdom of God takes root. And as we listen, we start to see a pattern. The commands are signposts, but love is the road, and people are the treasure. Let's walk with Jesus through 3 case studies: anger and contempt, lust and objectification, and divorce and dignity. Each one exposes how we value or devalue the people God puts before us. And in each one, Jesus calls us not only to avoid harm, but to honor the image of God in others. First, anger and contempt. You have heard that it was said to the ancients, "You shall not murder." But I say to you, Jesus continues, that everyone who is angry with a brother or sister is liable to judgment. Whoever insults them is answerable. Whoever says, "You fool," is in danger. Why would Jesus put murder, anger, and name-calling in the same conversation? He is not confused about consequences. He knows murder shatters a life in a way a word cannot. But he is brilliant about roots. Murder is the ripe fruit of a seed we often water. The decision in the heart that says, "Your life doesn't matter as much as mine." Contempt is the quiet rehearsal of that decision. It's the inner shrug that reduces a person to a label: idiot, monster, trash, lesser. It's the rolled eyes, the sarcastic jab, the comment section burn that gets 1,000 likes and costs 1,000 little pieces of your own soul. If murder shouts, "You don't deserve to live," contempt whispers, "You're not worth my respect." And Jesus says both grow from the same poisoned soil. The refusal to honor God's image in another human. Every time I belittle, I am rehearsing a world where people are disposable. That is why Jesus moves beyond the courtroom and into the heart. He even gives a concrete direction. If you're on your way to worship and you remember a broken relationship you helped break, stop what you're doing and go seek reconciliation. Why? Because worship and reconciliation are not competing priorities. Reconciliation is part of worship. So we ask, what does righteousness look like with anger? It looks like telling the truth about pain without erasing the person who caused it. It looks like learning the holy pause. Before you send the message, before you press post, before you deliver the cutting line you will regret, breathe and pray. Lord, help me see your image before I try to win this argument. It looks like replacing contempt with confession. I spoke with disdain. You bear God's image. I'm sorry. Can we start again? It looks like remembering that the person who frustrates you is not your enemy. Contempt is. Some of us are very good at staying out of legal trouble and very bad at honoring people with our tone. We don't murder, but we assassinate reputations. We don't strike, but we strike back with sarcasm. Jesus is not lowering the bar. He is showing us the real bar. Righteousness is not the absence of crime, it's the presence of honor. Second, lust and objectification. You have heard that it was said, "You shall not commit adultery." But I say to you, Jesus adds, that everyone who looks at another person in order to stir up lust has already committed adultery in the heart. Jesus is not condemning the simple noticing of beauty or the flash of attraction that comes and goes. He's confronting the lingering stare, the deliberate fantasy, the quiet choice to turn someone into a product that serves your pleasure. Lust doesn't just live in what you do with your body. It lives in what you do with your eyes. And before that, in what you do with your imagination. Why does Jesus take this so seriously? Because when you objectify someone, you strip them of the very thing he came to restore, their God-given dignity. Desire itself is a gift from God, but when desire forgets the person and worships the feeling, desire becomes a thief. It takes without covenant. It takes without responsibility. It takes and leaves a person smaller in your mind than they are in God's eyes. Jesus then uses shocking hyperbole. If your eye, your hand, anything causes you to sin, cut it off. He doesn't mean self-harm. He just told us the real problem is the heart. But he does mean this. Treat this area with life or death seriousness. If a habit, a feed, an app, a schedule, a private corner of your life keeps training you to objectify image bearers, don't negotiate with it, remove it. Righteousness is not a casual hobby. It's heart surgery. So what does righteousness look like here? It looks like training your eyes to bounce instead of linger. It looks like asking, is this media, this scroll, this series helping me honor people or rehearse their reduction? It looks like refusing to consume the bodies of others with your mind while expecting anyone to honor your own. It looks like setting boundaries that feel costly because dignity is worth the cost. It looks like remembering that your own body is not a commodity either. You too bear the image and deserve not to be used, even by the accusing voice inside you. Maybe you've failed here. Most of us have. Shame says, you are your worst moment. The gospel says, you are more than your sin, and you are not beyond hope. Jesus is not humiliating us. He is liberating us. He calls us away from counterfeit intimacy so we can recover the joy of seeing people as persons again. Third, divorce and dignity. In Jesus' day, only men could initiate divorce, and some teachers argued a man could send away his wife for almost any reason. That imbalance produced terrible outcomes for women. Financial vulnerability, social shame, and a life defined by a decision she could not control. Into that debate Jesus speaks, restricting legitimate divorce to sexual immorality and placing the moral weight on men who leverage the law to upgrade their lives while downgrading their wives. Jesus uses the law not to arm the powerful, but to shield the vulnerable. Now, hear this with care and compassion. Jesus is not weaponizing the marriage covenant against wounded people. He is defending the purpose of covenant, to form a shelter of mutual respect, where two people learn to honor God's image together. The point is not to trap anyone in harm. The point is to stop using religious loopholes to justify selfishness. In cases of ongoing abuse, violence, or abandonment, righteousness seeks safety, truth, and healing. If you are in danger, seek help.